Yeah, let's have a hand again for Joe Bailey Jr. and Steve Mims. We're going to do a Q&A with these guys. With you all having the opportunity to ask questions, we have some people to introduce. First of all, the great arson expert Gerald Hurst has come in for the film today. Mr. Hurst, would you please stand up? For these guys also, the former chair of the Forensic Science Commission, Sam Bassett, is here. Mr. Bassett, would you stand up, please? As well, I'm told Judge Charlie Baird is here. Judge Baird, would you please stand up, sir? And then finally, I will tell you, I saw this movie when it was unfinished in December, and the music had not been added to it, and I'd heard that Graham Reynolds was doing the music, and I had no earthly idea how transformational it would be to see Graham Reynolds associated with this film. The music was amazing. Graham Reynolds is here. Graham, please stand up. All right, we have about 15 minutes for you to have at these guys. If you please will raise your hand. I'll try to see your hand go up. Call on you and we'll ask your question to our guest in the back there. Sir.
You had the defense attorney a couple times claim that attorney-client privilege prevented him from telling you anything that Willingham would have said to him. But is it usual for a defense attorney after conviction to become an advocate for his client's execution?
Is it ordinary for the defense attorney after his client's conviction to become an advocate for his execution?
Well, yeah, that's especially unusual. I think that was one of our favorite things about how this kind of came to be, is having him. We tried to talk with the prosecutor. They weren't really willing to talk with us. But we had the defense attorney, and that was the next best thing. And for the type of film we were making, I don't think that we could have designed it better than that. And yeah, no, it's definitely an ethical quandary. And you know, I think you kind of like to ride the edge of what, you know, what's within the ethical code of what lawyers are supposed to do. It's arguable, I guess, is a short answer. Not something I would be comfortable doing.
Steve, was there any time when you said to yourself, "No, wait a minute, he's the defense lawyer"?
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time.
No, he was a very nice guy, really charming, and he gave us a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. And he believes everything he says.
He's a really, really charismatic guy, and it'd been fun to be around for sure. So.
Other questions? In the front right here, sir.
Well, that same defense attorney, he may be charismatic, but he didn't always seem real credible. And every time the rooster crowed, people in the audience would laugh like they're watching Green Acres. I was wondering about the decision to film him unshaven in a barnyard when everybody else seemed much more professional.
That was his choice. That was his farm, and we met him there, and it was very hot. And he rode up on a mule. and then we sat down and shot that, and that's just how he wanted it. There were goats in the film that we cut out.
Director's cut?
Yeah, that's right.
We'll see that later.
Yeah.
No, we asked him to do it inside. It was really hot. This is the middle of the summer in Texas, and but he insisted that he wanted to do it out in the barn under the cover in the shade. So.
Other questions? I'm not trying to ignore the sides. Let me do there, and then we'll go back there, sir. Or ma'am, I'm sorry.
What was the outcome at the end? You know, what did you decide to do?
You could either ask Judge Baird or you could ask the guests here. Let's ask the filmmakers. What was the outcome? Where do we stand right now?
Right now, I guess the Court of Appeals, they took a while, but just recently have decided that Court of Inquiry proceeding wouldn't be allowed to go forward. That's not to say that a new Court of Inquiry couldn't be taken up, and very well may be in the coming months. But that wouldn't. Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, but for us it really doesn't matter because we have all those guys in the body of the film, and then we have them under oath, and then we have the additional evidence about the jail and snitch, and I think that has its own value in terms of the real understanding of the truth of what happened. So if they want to throw that in a technicality, then shame on them.
Yeah, the interesting part about that was that I thought was really shocking, especially being in Texas and having the courtesy we usually extend to women and family. And they tried to stop the proceeding from going forward, and I was really happy that Judge Baird didn't allow this, because they claimed that Cameron Todd Willingham's mother, or stepmother, who raised him from, I don't know, 13 months, wasn't his blood relative, and therefore could not bring a suit to restore his reputation. And they had cousins as part of the suit as well, but I thought that was a little bit kind of below the belt and really shocking. I just didn't expect that.
The other thing that I can tell you, ma'am, is that this week it was reported in the media that John Bradley, who was renominated by Governor Perry to chair the Forensic Science Commission, does not have the votes in the Texas Senate, and his nomination may be dead. We don't know that for sure, but we'll find out soon enough. There was a question to the back there, sir. I think it was actually, no, you're done? No question? Okay, then how about right here, ma'am?
Can you tell us any more about the wife's statement that he confessed to her in the last...
Right, what about the statement of the wife toward the end that we saw saying that he had confessed to her at the last?
She came out, that was at the same time as that here, the way it sort of edited the film. And she was brought out by Johnny Sutton, who's an attorney, and we put a lot of that in there because they set it up very carefully, where the only thing she did was read a written statement, and then she wasn't allowed to answer questions. The questions had to go to the attorney. And it's hard in real time to listen to what she's saying, but it's hard to really hear a confession precisely in the way that thing is worded. And then the story is that she reached out to this law firm to, she came out, that was at the same time as that here, the way it sort of edited the film. And she was brought out by Johnny Sutton, who's an attorney, and we put a lot of that in there because they set it up very carefully, where the only thing she did was read a written statement, and then she wasn't allowed to answer questions. The questions had to go to the attorney. And it's hard in real time to listen to what she's saying, but it's hard to really hear a confession precisely in the way that thing is worded. And then the story is that she reached out to this law firm to represent her at the time that coincided with the hearing. And the law firm is the Ashcroft Group, which is a huge, very powerful.
Ashcroft is in former Attorney General John Ashcroft.
And so you have to imagine that she found them, they didn't find her, and brought her forward. And this was about 2 weeks before the November election.
Had she ever made this statement? I wondered about that watching the film the few times I've seen it. Had she ever before come forward to say he confessed?
About a year before, I guess, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram published a statement that she had released, and it said something to the effect, the nature of his confession, it was kind of iffy. It basically said that he felt he watched a house burn and the children were inside, and he wasn't able, and was the nature of the confession that he watched it and he wasn't stopping him. And that's the only direct quote that I could read in the confession, but that was sort of offered as an implication of criminal guilt rather than just emotional guilt, I guess. But when that was released, a lot of journalists that had interviewed her in the years prior, recent years and going back to the execution, and then looking at her testimony during the trial, she did go on stand on Todd's behalf during the trial. All of her other statements held that he always maintained his innocence even through the execution. So she's contradicting herself. And I will say that the prosecutor, the original prosecutor in the case, himself said that he wouldn't put any credence into anything she's said because she's changed her opinion so many times. So
has she repeated it? Has she said it since?
No, she did
not. One time, and that was it.
That was it. And we really didn't want to invade on her privacy. She'd been very clear that she didn't wish to speak with people about it until that public statement. So But you know, it's, we try to just sort of put it out there and show it in its entirety so that that we can give her a voice in the film.
Okay, I can take 2 more questions. I'm told by a very helpful person in the wings. Sir.
I just want to say that the film turned out really well, and particularly the music. I saw it earlier in a pre-version with music. It was really great. I just want to invite the filmmakers on Wednesday, March 16th. We're going to be at the Capitol on the Day of Innocence, asking for a change. Like Mark White said, it's time for a change for Texas to reevaluate the death penalty system. If you want to come down there on March 16th at 3 p.m., 6 death row exonerees who spent 50 years on death row for crimes they did not commit will be at the Texas Capitol asking for a change. So if you want to come down there at 3 p.m., you can join in that.
Do you have any questions?
Would you like to come?
that is only technically a question.
I ask myself that question a lot, and when I started making the film, I asked myself that question, and I still ask it now. And I think we tried to give full voice to all the very strident opinions about the case, and the mystery of it is what really attracted it to us, and it attracted the story, made the story attractive to us. And so when we made the film, we tried to make a great film that would really indulge your curiosity, make you sort of wrap your mind around these things. You usually don't give yourself the time to understand. But really, I kind of got into a trail here, but what I was meaning to say is, even if he was guilty, personally I have a very serious problem with the manner in which he was convicted, in which all of this folkloric methods were used to demonstrate his guilt that had no basis. And none of us should be, that should make all of us really concerned, I think. And then the snitch testimony on top of that, there's, you know, that, I know a lot of prosecutors, and I'm married to a prosecutor, and there's a thing called the Brady Rule, and when exculpatory evidence that you know is out there exists, you have a duty, a professional duty to share that with the defense. And so things like that, that never really bothered me, really. I was more interested in the mystery and the real facts of the case that we can know, because there are certain things that you can't know, and you just can't know for certainty. We never will know. But what we do know is what we try to put on the screen. So
Let's do one last one, right there, and then we'll call it. You know, you start with your hand up. That's it. Yes.
Did you ever get to contact the original fire investigators?
Did you ever get to contact the original fire investigators? Would be Mr. Vasquez?
yeah, Mr. Vasquez is deceased. So
How about Mr. Fogg?
Mr. Fogg, he lives up in somewhere outside of Dallas, I want to say. Yeah, I think I tried a couple numbers for him that were old, and I want to say I ran into somebody who's somehow related to him once, and they're like, oh yeah, I talked to Doug or whatever, but yeah, we never had a chance to talk to Doug Fogg. He's been interviewed on a lot of news programs, and so you know, you definitely can check him out.
Did you try to interview the governor?
We did contact the press office. It was during the election, though, so I kind of knew the odds on that one. But I tried to be vague in the sense that they would actually humor me and talk to me for a little while. But no, I don't think that was really happening.
All right, well, let's again celebrate what they've accomplished here and congratulate the filmmakers Steve Mims and Joe Bailey Jr. On behalf of South by Southwest, thank you very much for coming.
Hello.